Donald Trump woke up furious this morning after Canada used Ronald Reagan's words against him. Canada began displaying a new ad showing Ronald Reagan back in the 80s giving a speech talking about how tariffs harm the economy, both in the United States, but also in the countries that are tariffed. And it's about a 1 minute ad. I'm going to have it later for you in this video. But Donald Trump spent multiple Truth Social posts talking about how he is furious at Canada going so far as breaking up all trade negotiations with Canada moving forward, saying that essentially, quote, the Ronald Reagan Foundation has just announced that Canada has fraudulently used an advertisement, which is fake, featuring Ronald Reagan speaking negatively about tariffs. The ad was for $75,000. They only did this to interfere with the decision of the United States Supreme Court and other courts. Tariffs are very important to the national security and economy of the United States of America. Based on their egregious behavior, all trade negotiations with Canada are hereby terminated. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Now, I want you to take a look and watch this ad. This is the one that made Donald Trump so furious this morning.
When someone says, let's impose tariffs on foreign imports, it looks like they're doing the patriotic thing by protecting American products and jobs. And sometimes for a short while it works, but only for a short time. But over the long run, such trade barriers hurt every American worker and consumer. High tariffs inevitably lead to retaliation by foreign countries and the triggering of fierce trade wars. Then the worst happens. Markets shrink and collapse, businesses and industries shut down, and millions of people lose their jobs. Throughout the world, there's a growing realization that the way to prosperity for all nations is rejecting protectionist legislation and promoting fair and free competition. America's jobs and growth are at stake.
As you can see in the ad, it's about 1 minute long. It was produced by the government of Ontario. Doug Ford, who's the premier, has long had his back and forth with Donald Trump. And this ad was playing on multiple stations, both in Canada and also in areas where the United States may somewhat be involved in Canada. So, for example, when the Toronto Raptors NBA team plays an American team, you may have that ad displayed on television. And well, it made Donald Trump very unhappy. It made the Ronald Reagan Foundation very unhappy. Now, Ronald Reagan's words are accurate. They're not fake. That's not an AI version of Ronald Reagan by any means. But essentially, it is an ad that was put together by the Premier of Ontario. And before I continue, please consider subscribing to support my work or sending a one-time donation via Venmo to Aaron-Parnas. And we're now in a situation where essentially we're back in this trade war with Canada. Doug Ford, who is the Premier, defended the message, saying that the United States and Canada essentially have a very deep friendship. It's the second time Donald Trump has suspended trade talks with Canada this year, following earlier disputes over tech regulation and dairy trade and tariffs and more. And well, I mean, if I had to guess, he'll have it back up shortly. They'll start negotiating again soon, but it will take some time before the relationship is mended. Maybe Prime Minister Mark Carney will have to take another trip down to Washington, D.C. to meet with Donald Trump again. Ultimately, we don't know what will happen, but at least right now, U.S.-Canada relations are not great. And it comes as Donald Trump received some pretty bad economic news this morning, where the White House released data concerning inflation in the United States of America. And we're now learning that for the first time since January, core CPI inflation is at 3%. Now, that number is lower than what economists had thought it would come in at. They thought it would be above 3%, so that's some good news. But inflation rising to 3% shows that the United States economy is not as robust as the White House has been proclaiming for a long time. And as a result, Americans continue to suffer. And here's the kicker. Economists actually predict that this number will only go up, that inflation will continue to rise because the cost of things like gas, food, and other tariff-affected goods, well, those prices aren't actually coming down anytime soon. They're actually going to continue to go up because of the tariffs. And so you're in a situation where heading into the holiday season, Prices are not going down. The economy remains stubborn. Yes, the stock market's good, but the average everyday American doesn't actually feel the impacts of a good stock market because most people can't even afford to invest in the stock market. And so we're in a situation where tariffs are only going to raise inflation in the United States of America. And following the release of today's numbers, not so surprisingly, the White House is now warning that future numbers in November and December may be delayed or may not even be released if the government shutdown persists. Now, remember, the numbers released this morning about inflation, the 3%, that doesn't include any government shutdown numbers. So that has not been priced into inflation just yet. That's only going to increase inflation as well. Meanwhile, the Trump White House has updated the historical timeline section on the White House website in violation of the Hatch Act. It now attacks former President Biden, former Vice President Harris, former President Obama. And under the major events timeline, it now has a major event titled Cocaine Discovered with a picture of Hunter Biden from his personal device showing, quote, during the Biden administration, a U.S. Secret Service agent discovered a small zippered plastic bag containing cocaine in the West Wing entrance lobby. Speculation has pointed to Hunter Biden, an admitted drug user. There is no speculation over who left the cocaine. There is no evidence to suggest that Hunter Biden left any cocaine in the White House. And yet the White House is now on the official government website parroting this false narrative. Target is cutting 1,800 corporate jobs, about 8% of its global workforce, mostly at its Minneapolis headquarters, to simplify operations, but also comes as retail sales for Target slump as Amazon and Walmart speed up. Part of this is due to the DEI boycotts that have been ongoing for the large part of this year after Target decided, you know what, we're going to eliminate our DEI programs within the stores. And well, people were very unhappy with that. And so now you have a situation where Target's forced to literally fire or lay off over 1,000 employees. The Trump administration approved a long disputed plan to build a road through Alaska's Izembeek National Wildlife Refuge and reopen the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge to oil and gas drilling. The 11-mile road, long opposed by environmental groups, would cut through protected wilderness to connect the remote community of King Cove, Alaska, to a nearby airport for medical access. But critics are arguing that the move is threatening vital habitats for migratory birds and bears and actually reverses decades of conservation policy, while supporters are saying it fulfills a local safety need and promotes economic development. And finally, a story that I'm going to be covered this weekend is Jamaica is facing a possible catastrophe as there is a rapidly intensifying hurricane in the Caribbean right now. And it's going to impact Jamaica for a long time. So I will provide you updates throughout the weekend, but please pray for those in Jamaica. As always, like, comment, share, and subscribe to support my work, and I'll see you soon for more. Hey folks, Aaron Parnas here. Thank you so much for watching The Parnas Perspective. Please consider subscribing to support our work as we grow this independent news media entity into something that rivals mainstream every single day. Thanks so much, and I'll see you soon.